breaking the job into elements. First, we need to know that what is the meaning of an element. So we can say that it is an distinct, means it is individual in itself. An element is a distinct part of a specified job which we have selected. So it is uh, distinct part of a job, and you can actually observe it. Like that element should not be that small which can't be observed and measured and analyzed. So we can say that an element is a distinct part of a specified job for convenience of observation, measurement, and analysis. This is the bookish definition. And there is another, so we can say it's a part of job. And the second thing about element is that it should be observable, measurable, and could be analyzed. Then there's another term associated with breaking the job into elements is work cycle. So work cycle is sequence of elements. So multiple elements together in certain sequence make up the work cycle, which are required to make the job or have the production yield. There may be different type of elements involved in this work cycle. So what types of elements can be there? So we can have repetitive elements. Then we can have occasional elements, then constant elements, variable elements. So um, we will be able to see some definitions. There are basically about 8 elements. There are 8 different type of elements which can be there. They exhibit different kind of characteristics. So what is a repetitive element? Anyone? That is something easier for you to understand. What is a repetitive element? Anyone?
So
You
tightening
can
of screws.
say, yeah,
Tightening of screws.
tightening of screws is a repetitive. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I missed one. Okay, so we can say it's an element which occurs in every work cycle of an operation. So it can occur many times in a work cycle, or it can occur even a one time in a cycle, every one time in a cycle, like fixing up the job on the fixture. Hmm. So every time a new job is coming, you're going to fix it on the fixture. So that is a repetitive element in a work cycle. Other things could be picking up of parts before doing an assembly. So when you are doing assembly of multiple parts, you'll be picking them up every time. Then we have occasional elements. So occasional element, as the name implies, they do not occur in every work cycle. They are irregular, and they occur irregularly in the work cycles. Like in third work cycle, then the seventh work cycle, like that. like adjustment of the machine. So when you use a machine repetitively, it may be working fine for, let's say, 10-15 cycles. After that, the settings gets misaligned. There might be a misalignment, or some kind of adjustments may be required again. So then in that case, we will be having occasional elements. Although occasional element is useful work and a part of a job, but it may not be repetitive. Then we have another one is constant element. This is slightly tricky to understand. There are constant and variable elements. Actually, in a constant element, the basic time remains constant whenever it is performed. So basic time is constant. So I'll have to explain this. So what is basic time? You can say observed time multiplied with the rating is equal to basic time. Now, basic time being constant. For example, you can say that there is worker 1, there is worker 2. Okay. So observed time for certain worker is 20 minutes for doing a job. Observed time for another worker is 25 minutes to do a job. Hmm. So which is a faster worker? Worker 1 is the faster worker. Okay. So let's say, or you can say this is the standard worker. So for a standard worker, the rating is 100. We will discuss about rating subsequently in this chapter only. But for now, we can say for, let's say, worker 1 is a standard worker, is taking 20 minutes to do the job, and its rating is 100. Okay. So this basic time is coming out as, we can say, instead of 100 we write it as 1. So this is basic time is 20 minutes. Okay. Now let's say worker 2. For worker 2 also, this should be 20 minutes. So what should be the rating of the worker? Anyone? What should be the rating over here?
20 by
0.8.
25.
0.8.
0.8.
Right. Now what do you see over here? That basic time is constant in the variable elements. In the constant elements, the basic time remains constant. The meaning of this is that basic time, we should be able to define basic time. So let's say we can define it as second. Yeah, we can say it is time the elements would take to perform from the point of view of a work study person, if the operative were working at the standard rate instead of faster one. So basically, the meaning is that the kind of elements for which anyone would take same time, anyone should be taking same time, like a standard worker. So what kind of activities can those be? So those kind of activities for in which we can see there's a constant element could be switching on a machine, like on and off switch. So generally it will take the same time for everyone to do it. So they are of course constant times. You will be able to find constant elements easily. There could be also tightening of screws, or inserting a particular cutting tool in a machine. So these are kind of elements which are and should be. If they are not constant, then workers should be trained to make these elements constant. So it is the responsibility of the work study person to identify that what are those elements. Generally, these constant elements are of shorter duration. Okay, so this is the meaning of basic time, and we will explore basic time further when we go to the next chapter. Although it has been, the concept of basic time has been introduced a bit before. मतलब अभी आ गया है, आपको ये concept BT का time बता रहे हैं, BT का concept, but we will get to know the significance of BT in the next chapter. Then there is another type of element which is a variable element. So these type of elements for which basic time varies in relation to the characteristic of product or process. Because now it is a good time to differentiate between the constant time and variable element, constant element and the variable element. So variable element, for example, let's say sawing the logs. So this is a variable element, while uh, uh, switching on a machine is a constant element vis-a-vis. So it will be easier for us to understand here. This is a constant element, while sawing of logs is a variable element. Why? Anyone who can tell me? Because raw material of woods is not same. Like wood, you cannot say is all the woods are same, but all the switches for a particular type will be same only. The amount of force that's going to be required will be the same. Or if there are 100 switches, let's say you have to switch on light and the fan. So it's going to take, if they are on the same switchboard, it's going to take equal time for you to switch on a fan as compared to switch on a light, right? As far as the button is concerned. But in sawing of logs, the material of the log may be different. The hardness may be different from raw material to raw material, and also the diameter could be different. Some characteristics of that, similarly sweeping of the floor. So the area varies from floor to floor. So we can't say it's a constant element. If the area is same, if there are 3 rooms to be swept, and the area is same in all the 3 rooms, and the broom is also same, then we can probably say that it's a constant element. If the size of the rooms are different, then we can't say it's a constant element. I hope you understood the difference between the variable element and the constant element. So in the variable element, the basic time varies, while in the constant element, the basic time remains the same. Then we have manual element, in which basically involves manual work. Then we have machine element, just like manual. Machine element, which is performed automatically. We will not say that it has to be there. There's a occasional intervention of worker in it. It has to be totally automatic. Then we say it is a machine element. And once the thing about machine element is, the once the process starts, it cannot be interrupted by worker. Just if you interrupt it, it will end in premature termination. Okay, so like firing of tiles on a kiln, or forming of glass bottles, or pressing car body to give it a shape. And then we have governing element. So a governing element is an element occupying a longer time within a work cycle than other elements. It could be like before, let's say you are going to machine a job. So before the machining, it might require to clean the lathe and then installation of the tool, but the maximum time is going to go in machining of the part, like turning or facing, whatever you're going to do, rather than the other elements which are associated while you are machining. So this becomes the governing element, or it could be the central element of the job. Okay. Yeah, or you're boiling or making a tea. So boiling of the water is the governing element in that. Okay. And then you have foreign elements.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Cleaning of machine is machine element or governing element?
Okay. Now I was about to tell you that once I have introduced all the elements, but anyway, none of these elements are mutually exclusive. Okay. So they can happen together also. They are not mutually exclusive. Two elements can happen, three elements can happen together also. So it is a machine element as well. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
So these 8 elements, it's not necessary an element could be any one of these. It could be 3 of these also. It could be a constant element. It could be a machining element. Okay. And it could be a governing element also together. Then we have foreign element, which is an element observed which does not form a part of the operation being studied. They are generally external. They could be like degreasing of a part which needs to be further machined. This could be one thing. So let's say you have to increase the bore size of cylinder. आपका जो engine का cylinder होता है, उसकी आपको रीबोरिंग करनी है, because आपने उसकी cylinder lining change करी है. So before when it comes to the workshop, you're going to clean it. Okay, so even if you don't clean it, it might not be part of the machining, right? So then in that case, the degreasing may be a foreign element to this. So generally we try to avoid the foreign elements, or we avoid using the foreign elements in the study that we are doing. Okay, so we come back and we further talk about how do we decide the elements. Deciding the elements for time study. The very first thing is they should be separable from each other. That is, they should be identifiable. So they should have a definite beginning and an end. They should not be like fuzzy. या हम उसमें पता नहीं लगा पा रहे हैं ये कब स्टार्ट हो रहा है, कब बंद हो रहा है, या ये एलिमेंट इंडिविजुअल एलिमेंट है या नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. And they should be short. They should be short so that it can be conveniently timed. As short means they should not be that short that you can't time it, and they should not be very long. So it generally then you have not broken down it into several elements. Of course, you will have elements like machining where you're doing facing and turning, but there are it becomes a governing element then. But they should be, most of them should be short, except that one or two may be the governing elements in that.
सब बट अगर सिंगल मशीन ही सारे ऑपरेशंस कर रही है और उसमें काफी टाइम लग रहा है जैसे 2-3 घंटे तो फिर
ओके, आप सीएनसी की बात कर रहे हैं, राइट? सो या आई मीन you can then because there also, if the tool magazine changes and all those things happen, if a different type of machining is going on the CNC machine, so still you can break it down into several then, because the tool magazine does move from here and there. So uh, you can, work cycles may then be broken down into like uh, uh, you're turning, then milling, and then if you are doing drilling, so they should be broken down into different work cycles. And the manual elements should be separated from machine elements. Manual, machine elements, they should be separated. Similarly, constant should be separated from variable. And occasional and the foreign elements. Elements should be timed separately. Like they should not be mixed with your regular you can say repetitive elements. They should be timed separately. There should be a separate study on that, because these occasional elements could indicate a quality issues or uh, issues with the process. आपको बार बार occasional, because they break your smooth flow of the uh, work, occasional elements. So they are something which should be timed separately and observed. So number of amount of detail that we have to go in the description of the elements depends on several factors like details. You can just small batch jobs, small batch which do not occur very frequently would require less detailed element description than long running high output lines. Will require small batch jobs which are infrequent would require less description. Small batch job means that the quantity which we are making is very small in number, and as compared, the description which is required to give to the work elements of small batch jobs as compared to long running and how high output lines. Long running means continuous production, chalta ja raha hai, like in car production, and high output lines, they require more description. And movement from place to place generally requires less description than hand and the arm movements. So if you are physically moving from one place to another, so place to place movement require less description as compared to hand and arm movements. So these are, I mean, we can understand that the details required would be less in these as compared to hand and arm movements. If you, any one of you have, is there anyone who's done hand-to-hand process chart? Is there anyone in the class who has made two-hand process chart in the assignment?
No, sir.
Or you, if the opportunity was there, you would try to duck the opportunity for the simple reason it would be you'll have to do micro motion study of the arms and hands, which is difficult for the simple reason that they are very short duration movements, and they are there are too many movements as well. So that's why it would require more details. Then we come to sample size, although we have already talked about it, but once more. So we, like the earlier case, we take 90, if we say 95% as the confidence level, and the margin of error we say take it as, for example, take 95.45% as the confidence level, and margin of error as 5 plus minus 5%. Now I think I'll revise this thing once again because many of you might not have understood. So it simply says that if I'm taking 100 observations, in 95.45% of these observations, only plus minus 5% of error will be there as far as the mean is concerned. Okay, that's what it means. So the formula for calculation of sample size is, this is the standard formula which is it is there in the catalog of, or you can say uh, the standard handbook of ILO. So where n is your sample size, n dash is your preliminary sample size, and x is the represents the readings. Okay, so if we take an example where we take 5 readings, and in terms of minutes the readings are 7, 6, 7, 7, 6. Let's say these are the readings in some time units. Then we can easily do these calculations. Summation x comes out as 33. Summation x square comes out as 219. And n dash, so these are 5 readings, so n dash is 5. We can get the value of n, which comes out as 8.81, or 9 readings we would say. So with this kind of error, with this kind of tolerance for the error, and with that in confidence level, I should be having 9 readings. So if I increase the confidence level, this 40 actually, how do we get this 40 is because of this combination which we have. So in the handbook they have already presented. I'll just share the screen from another one. So you can see here that if we choose a different confidence level and accuracy margin, the formula changes as well, because this 40 constant changes, and the calculations have been done, they have already been established. So the number of recommended cycles, that is the reading cycles, for example, if your cycle, they have also made a table which tells that if your minutes per cycle, they are also saying that the work cycle, if it is varying from certain minutes to certain minutes, then the recommended number of study cycles are these many. Let's say if your minutes per cycle varies between uh, 0.1 minute to anything less than that, we should be having 200 readings. So we can see that as the size of the work cycle, as the duration of the work cycle increases in terms of minutes, the number of observations which are required also reduces from 200 to 3. Can anyone tell what will be the reason behind this? So the larger the work duration of, or larger the work cycle, lesser number of observations are required. Can anyone tell why? Yes, I'm surprised nobody is.
और जब ज्यादा ज्यादा मिनट्स की एक साइकिल होगी ना, तो कुछ टाइम के लिए वो हो सकता है धीरे काम कर रहा हो, कुछ टाइम के लिए वो फास्ट काम कर रहा होगा, तो ऑटोमेटिकली वो एक साइकिल में ही काफी हद तक मतलब एवरेज आउट हो जाएगा उसका टाइम। तो कम साइकिल्स लेंगे तो भी काम चल जाएगा।
एक्चुअली शॉर्टर ड्यूरेशन वर्क साइकिल में आपकी जो ऑब्जर्वेशन, आप देख लीजिए, अगर बहुत ही छोटा काम है and then you break it into elements, the chances of variation will be higher because वो बहुत छोटा है and आपकी observation हो सकता है कि इतनी minute ना हो पाए. So in order to get a certain average, you need to be more, you need to do more sampling. If the work cycle is of larger duration, then the observations which you are going to take, you will have sufficient time to make an observation, and probably you will not be very wrong in that. So shorter duration, for the simple reason कि कोई चीज बहुत जल्दी होती है, if it happens very fast, then the chances of making mistake about that observation are more as compared to an activity which takes longer time to do, and you will have sufficient time to capture or observe that activity being happening. Okay, so this is about mostly about chapter 21, which was about time study, about selecting and timing the job. So the next chapter that we come to now is chapter 22, which is time study rating. Now we come to the rating part, which is now the reason for whole activity of time study being carried out is prime reason is rating, because with rating we quantify things. With rating we use the time study to come up with conclusions. So in this chapter we learn about how do we define a worker, standard rating, how do we give rating, how do we give find out the standard performance, and the associated things. So although we have already talked about who is an average worker, but let's take an example now. So if there are 500 qualified workers in a factory, let's say 500 workers, and they do the same operation by same methods under the same conditions, and the whole operation is under the control of worker. Okay, so if we notice the time that they are going to do this work, generally it would come out to be a normal distribution. Okay, so we can probably divide it into three. This will be group A, this will be group B, and this will be group C. So
your whiteboard is not visible right now.
okay. So we can see here that there will be three group of workers. On x-axis, you will have time distribution. On y-axis, so there are some group of workers who are doing in very less time. There are some group of workers who are doing the same job in more time. And there is a third group of workers over here. So we can say 32, let's take a figure. So average, let's say if we find out the average time they are going to take to do a certain job is 46 seconds. Okay, so there'll be 32.4% of the workers who are doing the work in lesser than 46 seconds. And there'll be, I'm just taking the figures, they are not final figures, or you can say they are not kind of figures which will be happening all the time, but they are just certain representative figures. And 34.8% of the workers who are going to take greater than 50 seconds. So we can say 46, say 56, average lies between 46 and 50. And this is the 32.8% of the workers. So we can say that a group of 500 workers. So average time taken to perform the job is between 46 to 50 seconds. We can take, let's say, 48 seconds. And these 48 seconds could be called as average time taken by a qualified worker to this job. Okay, so this is the meaning of the people who are lying in this region, they are the average workers, or it can be said as the standard workers. So there's a term called standard rating. So with standard rating is a term associated which is standard performance, and it is the rate of output which qualified workers will naturally achieve without overexertion. So you can say it is the rate of output which and qualified worker will naturally achieve. So the meaning of naturally achieve is very simple. It is without overexertion. It is the natural pace with which he works or she works. So for a standard worker, the figure associated is 100. We can say this is the standard rating for a standard worker. So how would a non-standard work look like then? So let's see that. So you can see this figure over here. There's a worker A, and he's fully trained and motivated. While there is worker B, which has a lot of ineffective time. So this worker A is getting a rating of 100, while worker B has a lot of ineffective time while he's working. So work done by B in an hour is lesser as compared to that of A. So this is where we can see the ineffectiveness which comes. Now, if proper incentives are given, then this 48 seconds worker not an incentive, which can be said as a worker B. If there are no incentives for doing the job on time, you could be your work population could be represented by this curve over here. While if a proper incentive plan is designed based on the standard times and the calculations for doing the job on time or earlier, you can actually reduce the work. If the workers go on incentive, this time duration of 48 seconds could be reduced to 36 seconds. Okay, so this is what has been observed over a period of time, that incentives do motivate workers in doing the job faster way. So the idea is that how can we accurately compare the observed rate of working off with the theoretical standard. So because based on experience, prior experience, and uh, method studies, we can do that. So generally that's why it is advised that you do method study before doing a time study, especially when you have to set the work standards. Now we'll continue our discussion from here in the next class. I'm opening the attendance sheet and you can give your attendance.